Because it's a custom.
Where are you pressing? Is this the
one?
Okay, that's A.
Because it's assigned, and I made it to assign number one. So on this camera it's one.
And then how can you force by Kelvin to say, I want to do 3,400? Yeah. You know, but I was like, how does it use yellow?
You can make sense in a close-up. And when the voice shows it's just bothers me. And if I'm in a close-up, I can already see.
You know that super white it does? It's really strange. You know, you can film it like a super white. Across that. And it just makes the whites too white.
No, it's the color space. Then I interpret the footage to do Excel online.
This is the HDID.
No, 2020 HDR. So, I just interpret to Excel online color space.
Right. Okay,
I wouldn't be bothered that I wasn't using them at all if this happened 10 years ago. Or 15, there's no information on this way. 3 minutes.
And no one will know. You will know. No one will know.
Why they were here, because they wonder why.
Only the pros will know.
But in a way, you know, like iPhone or Rosno was the difference. But, you know, it's that sense of size.
So you're fascinating. Yes. So you have to flex every time you put the stick out there.
Wow. If video is taking it, plus the lenses.
You want me to bring you a coffee now? No. You sure? I'm going to go for a cigarette and some grapes.
I would love to.
I know you love it. I'm sorry to show you that. So you brought me a coffee when I was in the hurry yesterday. You want me to bring you a coffee while you're working?
It's like I had my most of this I'm saying I would love to, in a way, kind of. But after this,
I'm going to make the most of hanging out now. So you don't have to, like, you've got until midday to get the other camera in the room. So I'm like, okay, I'm sitting in search of the camera. I think that's a whole issue. Yeah. Maybe I can now. After we get no, otherwise it's done.
It's done.
I have to learn from Sergio. You know how to manage. Yeah, there's a big done. Okay, so do this. No, he's not going to get the camera. Open up coffee first, have a look, and then
Because then it was really my no, I have to go down and this
oh yeah, I need to go down and upload these images.
Then I have to go here.
My pockets are so
Then I started organizing setups for things of Monaco without the film. After in the one.
That's why I'm going to take it now, and I'm already. We're not going to a school day is going
Thank you.
in Spain was Madrid to Sevilla. Sevilla. Because there was the international exhibition named to Sevilla. And also because the president back then, Felipe González, was from Sevilla.
But it's because I'm saying in a sense that he always is I guess both developing the competencies. And then there might also this thing
What I want to stress is that Spain needed to have a good plan because the first high-speed train station should be Madrid to Barcelona, which are the biggest cities, but they decided Madrid to Sevilla.
we can always
Yeah, that's why. I think that's because they came from Russia. They decided to isolate Spain from France by history. But Madrid to Barcelona high-speed train, they opened like 20 years after.
Exactly. So he's acting overconfident to compensate for lack of confidence. And then, you know, that's
Esto es el pico de la economía. La había parecido como sketch de José Morales.
Je sais, je viens
Good. Do you want to start, or you want me to go ahead? Oh.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. Is it still morning? Yes, it is still morning. Good morning. Apologize. There were, of course, many member states that still wanted to speak, so we got delayed with the stakeout. I'll pass the floor to the High Commissioner, a few opening remarks, and then we'll take questions. High Commissioner, please.
Yeah. Good morning. As you know, I visited Cairo, Rafah, Al Arish, Amman last week. I met senior officials from Egypt, the Palestine, Jordan, but I also had a chance to engage with human rights defenders and civil society actors, Palestinian, Egyptian, Israeli, and Jordanian human rights defenders and civil society actors. As I mentioned, I visited the Al Arish hospital, where you had a number of Palestinians who had been evacuated because of grave injuries. And I was really struck by the horrific wounds that I saw of many patients from Gaza, including numerous children. I have also heard in the past from a number of Israeli families whose loved ones had been abducted by the Palestinian armed groups about their anguish. As I told this morning, we have seen a conflagration of violence that has been unleashed in the occupied Palestinian territory, both in Gaza and the West Bank, but also in Israel. There has been a breakdown of the most basic respect for humane values. The killing of so many civilians cannot be dismissed as collateral damage. The only winner of such a war is likely to be extremism and further extremism. I think we have seen this as many lessons from the past, that this unfortunately fuels extremism. Warnings by my office and others about human rights violations over many years have been ignored, not only in Israel and in the occupied Palestinian territory, but also by states with influence on the parties to this crisis. This needs to change. For this conflict to be enduringly resolved, we need justice, accountability, and the prevailing and the strong voice of human rights. The voice of reason, our work to report and document violations, and our advocacy for human rights will persevere until this voice is heard and this work is done. I'll just share with you a couple of urgent calls for action. It's absolutely clear with the adoption of the Security Council resolution that was adopted last night, the parties must give immediate effect to what the Security Council has asked them to do, and that was made very clear in the resolution. But there must also be a ceasefire based on humanitarian and human rights grounds. And there needs to be an end to the fighting, not only to deliver the urgently needed basic necessities of life, electricity, water, fuel, and so forth, but also to create the political space for a path out of this horror. International human rights and humanitarian law must be immediately and fully respected, including the principles of necessity, distinction, precaution, and proportionality. All forms of collective punishment must come to an end. All hostages must be released. We need rapid and unimpeded humanitarian assistance throughout Gaza, including fuel and at the scale required, and this must be facilitated. I understand that Philippe Lazzarini, the UNRWA head of the UNRWA, will talk to you later today and give you more details on this. But we also need more entries into Gaza, including through Israel. I mean, Kerem Shalom is one crossing where this could be done. I also stress the importance of full access to Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory, including Gaza, for my office to ensure full and independent monitoring and documentation, and to coordinate the protection work within the humanitarian response. Israeli authorities must take immediate measures to ensure that the Israeli security forces comply with their obligations as an occupying power to protect Palestinians in the occupied Palestinian West Bank, including from violence by settlers. All states with influence must seek common ground to disempower extremists by offering hope to build an enduring peace through justice and the guarantee of equal rights. Without genuine accountability, we know that contested narratives cannot be resolved, and people will be unable to contemplate a shared common future alongside each other. And it is clear that the status quo was untenable and that the Israeli occupation must end. My office will continue to do its utmost to assist all parties to step back from the precipice to which extremism and violence have led. Our strongest assets will remain our principled independence, our consistent standing on the international laws and standards that can ensure enduring peace through respect for every human life. Thank you.
We'll start with Anadolu, please.
Thank you, High Commissioner. Regarding the UN Security Council resolution on Gaza adopted yesterday, demanding humanitarian pauses, I want to ask how binding you think this decision will be for Israel, and what would be the consequences if the state doesn't follow? And also, considering the current humanitarian situation, how long should it take to turn this resolution into an action? Thank you.
So it's very clear what the Security Council resolution itself says. It needs to be implemented immediately. It also has a mechanism by which the UN is asked to report back on its implementation. So it's absolutely clear. I mean, it's the beginning of what is needed to mitigate the extremely precarious humanitarian situation in Gaza. So it has to be implemented at once.
Thank you, High Commissioner. I was wondering if you could say a little bit about your discussions for entry into Gaza and Israel as you've requested, and if you're hopeful that could go ahead and when. And also on the issue of the investigation that you mentioned in your speech, the international investigation, what kind of form would you expect that to take? And how hopeful would you be of success given the lack of cooperation with previous investigations in this area?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, first of all, I've asked Israel to give me access both to Israel but also to the occupied Palestinian territory. I have not yet received a response, which means hope, as I keep saying, hope springs eternal. I think it is very important for me to go to Israel. And also, I've been at the disposal of both Palestinians and Israelis to find a way out of this current crisis, because one of the missing links that we have seen over so many years is the one that you have mentioned. Accountability, justice, and truth-telling, including on the basis of when you have conflicting narratives, you need an investigation that is independent in order to make sure that we can actually get out of otherwise a polarized, totally binary view of what is happening or what happened. So for me, it's one big lesson learned, which actually, in a way, refreshes the human rights narrative in all of this, because that's what human rights is about. It is about accountability, it is about justice, it is about truth-telling. So I hope that there is a big lesson to be learned for the international community, for all parties to this conflict, to finally heed the recommendations that we have made, my office has made, for decades.
High Commissioner, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like there's one country in the world that is stopping the United Nations from doing their humanitarian work in a situation that 200 other countries and yourself have called carnage and horrible situation. What does it say about the United Nations if one country can stop humanitarian work that is so badly needed? What leverage do you have to change the stance of that one country, Israel?
Well, we actually go back to the very difficult thing that one has to explain to the outside world. There is, on the one hand, all of us working for the United Nations, working under its flag. We have 102 colleagues that have been killed. This is unprecedented, as you know, and we mourn for these colleagues who have been in Gaza doing the type of services that are needed on the humanitarian front, on the development front, and that is very telling. And then there are other member states. I mean, that finally the Security Council acted on it is extremely important. Obviously, we need much more. We need this to continue, and we need to make sure that it is, at the end of the day, about international law and about accountability, as I said before, where also the whole human rights dimension plays an incredibly important role. When it comes to humanitarian assistance, I can only hope that finally this will be implemented as a matter of urgency, because, as you know, the needs are enormous, and we can only hope that all our humanitarian partners are able to do their work. But for that, you need humanitarian space, you need access, you need protection, you need deconfliction, and that's what is needed.
Hi, Commissioner. Unfortunately, the figure's gone up to 103.
103, so I wasn't aware. So 103 colleagues who died.
Associated Press.
Hi, Commissioner. Thank you for coming to see us. I have two very quick questions, one of which is, there are leaflets being dropped on the eastern side of Khan Yunis urging evacuation. Where are those people supposed to go right now? And then the second question is about Shifa. There have been some regalia, various military goods that apparently have been turned up inside around the hospital. Was this raid justified by the Israelis?
Well, on the first one, again, international humanitarian law is clear. If the principles of necessity, precaution, distinction, proportionality require a certain military operation to be undertaken, there are obligations on the part of the military actor to ensure that those who are evacuated get an effective warning, are able to find safety, are able to be accommodated, get food, get shelter, and that it's only temporary. That's what international humanitarian law says. we know the situation in Gaza. It's one of the most densely populated zones in the world. We have been absolutely clear that at the current moment we do not consider any part of Gaza to be safe. So it's clear that when you look at this type of operations, we need to make sure that the international humanitarian law perspective, the various criteria that need to be attached to it, are made loud and clear. On Al-Shifa Hospital, as I said, we have seen, unfortunately, the deterioration of medical facilities and hospitals, also medical personnel. I think the figure was 100. I can't remember exactly what the figure is on the WHO, but WHO has given us the figures of how many of the hospitals are actually no longer properly functioning, which is, of course, extremely distressing. International humanitarian law, again, provides special protections to hospitals. So you need to go the extra mile to make sure that patients, medical personnel are protected. In the current, we have seen in this particular case contradictory statements. This actually is the type of thing where you would actually want an independent international investigation to find out what is actually happening.
But there were guns that were apparently found inside. Right?
Which is what I say. That is precisely what needs to be investigated.
Sorry, we've only got time for one more question. Lisa, please.
Merci beaucoup. Il y a 300 avocats, la semaine passée, ont déposé une plainte à la Cour internationale de La Haye, accusant Israël de crimes contre l'humanité et des génocides. Est-ce que vous êtes pour qu'on aille à la justice internationale aujourd'hui et comment vous décrivez donc la plainte de ces 300 avocats? Est-ce que le terme utilisé, génocide, est valable pour vous? Merci.
Alors c'est très clair et on a parlé de ça dès le début et même dans nos documents qu'on a soumis au Conseil des droits de l'homme, la documentation des violations des droits de l'homme, mais aussi des violations du droit international humanitaire. Alors ça, c'est pas nouveau, surtout si on regarde la Cisjordanie. Et là, on a fait des rapports depuis très longtemps. C'est clair que si on regarde les crimes que vous avez mentionnés, les crimes d'atrocité, c'est un processus juridique extrêmement compliqué. À cause de ça, ce sont normalement les cours, les tribunaux, surtout les tribunaux à plus haut niveau, qui se prononcent là-dessus. Alors, nous, de notre côté, on continue à faire notre documentation, notre monitoring, dans la mesure du possible, parce que comme vous savez, même mes collègues qui sont maintenant en Gaza, ils sont devenus des victimes, ils sont plus, en fait, ils sont bien sûr nos employés, mais ils sont aussi affectés par la violence. Alors, c'est clair qu'on va continuer à faire la documentation de toute façon, avec toutes sortes de moyens. À cause de ça, c'est très important pour moi aussi d'avoir accès, et pour mes collègues d'avoir accès. Mais c'est vrai aussi que si on commence à regarder de plus près des crimes contre l'humanité, des crimes de guerre, il faut une analyse très approfondie, comme on l'a fait d'ailleurs en Ukraine, mais ça nous a quelquefois pris quelques mois pour faire justement cette documentation. Alors ça, c'est le problème actuel, parce qu'on n'a pas suffisamment accès, et on n'a pas suffisamment accès à évaluer et conclure, surtout en ce qui concerne des crimes comme ça. En même temps, il faut dire aussi, la prévention de toutes sortes de crimes d'atrocité est quelque chose qui encombre tout État. C'est-à-dire, il faut toujours penser comment est-ce qu'on peut prévenir des crimes d'atrocité, et ça, c'est une obligation partagée par tout le monde.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.